What did they think of your early films? Was this your break into film? Into a successful career?
The French loved me. They were very nice and they showed my films and everybody told me what a genius I was. After my first screening though, the lights came up on the Champs-Élysées and the people in the heads of museum told me how great the film was and that I should be in cinema. And then they got into their cars and drove off.
Really? What do you mean? They just left you? That was it?
I'm standing in the fucking middle of the Champs-Élysées and I can't speak a word of French and I'm broke. I've got 3 cans of film and 2 wet cheeks from the kisses. What the fuck? So yeah, they left me there. But they'd done the most dangerous thing. They'd given me hope. So I became a beggar. I begged in the streets of France for years.
Wow. Eventually, after learning the language, you became a French journalist. How did you end up from here back into film?
Yeah, well, I got by, and I became a French journalist. And eventually I became one of the editors of a French humor magazine. I'd been writing novels this whole time too, and it was around this time that they began to sell. Then I discovered that there's a French law that a French writer can have a director's card.
What do you mean by director's card?
Well, a director's card allows you to make films. It's kind of like being in the union.
Oh. Does this get you automatic funding from the French government?
Well, if you have a director's card, you can ask. So I got a director's card, and I went, and I asked them to put up money.
So at this point, you had the card. What did you have to do to get the funding? And is this the film that opened the doors, finally, to your film career?
Well, I had to write a movie that was flattering to the French, and then I got a partial government subsidy. Then I was able to parlay my other things into the rest of the money, and I made my first film. With the film made, all my underworld friends, the hookers and everyone else, we pooled our fucking money and bought me a plane ticket. That's how I came back to the States. So anyway, I went to the San Francisco Film Festival and I won the festival. Then Hollywood sent a plane for me to go down there. Every studio wanted to talk to me.
This first film was called The 3-Day Pass, is that correct?
Yeah, the story of the 3-day pass. Every studio offered me a job to come work for them. Mainly because Hollywood couldn't afford to have this American black director doing French films. But I refused, because I felt that if I got the job, no other minority would get a shot. But Hollywood kept after me. I told them I would come back and make a movie if I could shoot it in Hollywood, because I thought that would be the next political step, to shoot a movie in Hollywood where the unions are strong, and this and that. They agreed, and that's how I made Watermelon Man. And Watermelon Man, just like I predicted, changed everything once again. Then, after that I said, okay, well, I'll play my next card. I'll make the film I want to make, how I want to make it. And that was Sweetback.
So if you could, Melvin, take us back to 1971. Can you give us a sense of the struggle you faced in trying to produce Sweetback's badass song?
Well, I had the same struggle in 1957. It was the same struggle that Harriet Tubman had, Sojourner Truth. It's nothing different. And we try and think of the moment, but at the time, when I went to make that particular film, the unions were all white, and I wanted to make a film that utilizes everybody, the whole thing. I had in mind when I was making Sweetback that I would use an all-nations crew, outside of the union if necessary because of price, but also by ideology. And I wanted to do it because in my mind the film was to be the voice of all the people marginalized in Hollywood.
You've mentioned in other interviews that the financing for the project was a challenge. It's purported that it was Bill Cosby who ended up giving you the money to get the film completed after you ran into some financial hurdles. Can you speak to this?
Well, what happened was Bill came through. He never saw the script, never knew anything else, but I was one of 3 black directors around, and I'm in trouble that was not a trouble of my own. It was a trouble of racism. That is, the crew got arrested for being multiracial. I went to Bill to ask for help. He didn't say a word, just put it together and loaned me the money to get them out of jail. And when I was finally able to pay him back, he wouldn't take any interest on his money that he had put up for me.
Not only was Sweetback a huge milestone for African American filmmakers, but it was also groundbreaking because of its progressive political point of view.
Well, it's not just that the film itself was groundbreaking. It was also the fact that it was made by an African American without the help of Hollywood. This was before the rise of the independent era. The studios, they didn't really take independent films very seriously. That is, until Sweetback was made such a financial success. At that juncture, what came from that was not only what they call blaxploitation, but also the independent film. That's all very important. Sweetback, it broke all the money records. It was the largest independent film that had ever been made up to that time. But there's a price I had to pay for that. I've never had a partner since. You see, I promised people 2 for 1. I promised them that they could feel like a liberal by helping me. And 2, that they could have their white theories vindicated by my failure. Well, everyone got pissed off when I didn't fail.